Hello all, this is the ethnography preview. So sorry if you can hear one of the kittens purring. So we're going to go over the ethnography just so you know what's coming up. So we're in week 4, week 5, depending on, which part of the week you're watching this. But the ethnography is our biggest assignment. It is basically like your capstone project for this. We will have a short final at the end, but the paper is a huge part of your grade. And this assignment is to give you experience with a group that you maybe haven't interacted with before ever or have limited experience with. It requires you to have interaction with other people. This means you must go and talk with people. You need to observe them if possible, but you at least have to have a minimum of 3 interviews, and you're exploring different aspects of the culture, how they live their life, their belief systems, things like that. So the first thing you're going to do is select a culture. And a culture can be anything as long as it meets that criteria to be a culture. So a group of people with a shared set of systems, beliefs, languages, etc. Please have it be a culture that is new to you. You cannot belong to this culture. If you are Hawaiian, you cannot do Hawaiian culture because it's not new to you. You've grown up in it. You have to be able to gain access to this group, so you have to find people to talk to. They have to be sufficiently different from you to make this intercultural, and it has to be a small enough culture, I guess, to an extent. You can't, have it too broad that you're writing a 20-page paper when we're asking for like a 7-page paper. So you need to be able to narrow down your focus. So the second thing is you need to find a friend or a confederate within that culture that you can talk about this with. So they might be one of the people you interview, or they might be able to help you find people to interview. You must use people who are a part of the culture, not just people who have lived in said culture, but people who have grown up in and are continually a part of said culture. So if someone just lived somewhere for 2, 3, 4 years, no, they have to be a member of this particular group. You need to do research. So you need to do in-depth readings, find videos. If there was maybe a documentary made, a book written about this culture, for a minimum of 3 outside academic sources in your paper. You have to develop a methodology. So how are you going to find your information? And you can use this link, which will show you some basics about methodologies. Even if you have something as simple as, to find my information, I did XYZ. You must observe and or interview. So you need to spend enough time with people in this culture, or do an in-depth enough of an interview to get the information that you need. So you have a draft that you can turn in. I'm actually going to leave this up to you if you want to turn in a draft or not. But if you do not turn in a draft, then when you turn in the final, that is the grade that you are getting. And then, of course, you write the paper. We have APA style guidelines, and it must be a minimum of 1,500 words, not including your references and not including a cover page. You do not need to have an abstract. That's typically something you would put in APA style papers, but you do not need an abstract. You just need a cover page, references in APA style, and a paper that is 1,500 words with in-text citations. The criteria grading that you will be graded on: so culture, why it's a culture, and can you gain access to them? Your sources, so research sources. Do you have a methodology section? Did you do your interviews? Did you hand in a draft? APA formatting. If you notice, draft is worth 0 points because it's just to benefit you. Organization and grammar. So are you using proper academic English? Is it organized well? Is it easy to read? Are you using headings and stuff like that to make it more readable? And if you scroll down, there is the actual rubric that I will be grading you off of with some more details. And I believe if you go under the announcements tab, okay, yep, here at the top is Ethnography Outline. So if you copy this link and paste it in, let's move it over here, then you can see a basic outline. You do not have to do all of these. You might pick the 5, 6 that are most interesting to you, write about that, but you should have an introduction, purpose, methodology, some of your findings. You can compare and contrast against your own culture if you so wish, your results / conclusion, and then of course your references in APA style. This is actually the textbook that we get our slides from, but it's also the textbook that the chapter paper comes out of. So that chapter, I believe, 10, 11, 12, 13 that you'll write about later in the semester, that will be, if you use any sections from that, that will be the citation for it. But I'll probably talk about that again as it gets closer. But now we've talked about the ethnography. What else do we have for it? We have the PowerPoint presentation with narrative. So you must record yourself presenting about 5 minutes, well, no more than 5 minutes, about your ethnography. So you will post this into a discussion. So there'll be a PowerPoint presentation discussion later in the semester. So if you go under the discussions tab, and we scroll down, narrative, presentation, discussion. There's the preview that I'll show you here in a second, but you will actually turn it into the narrative presentation discussion. So there are the grading criteria for that. So basically you describe your culture, what makes it a culture. You summarize the sources that you use and how you use them. So you identify who you interviewed and other sources that you use. You identify at least 4 of your findings. You present well and your voice is clear. You are dressed appropriately, all of those things. And then your slides are error-free and aesthetically pleasing, and your classmates can follow along. So there's the discussion preview. So for the online class, you will post the video of yourself, and you'll do that by recording or uploading media. And chances are you will record it on Zoom. You will drag the file over here and upload it that way. And I have some videos on how to do that. So here are some suggested / additional readings for the ethnography that are not required, but that might help you organize some of your thoughts and give you some ideas. Of course, you are not limited to just these things. And if I come across something for the other one, I'll go in and update it whenever I see it. But as you can see, for the first couple, there's quite a few in here to give you some ideas about maybe where you would want to start. But you are not limited to talking about these things in the ethnography. These are just some ideas. And here is our interviewing question ideas. You've had this video in another week, so I've put it in here again just in case. But so just different questions you could ask. And if you guys think of a good question, you can always email me and I'm happy to put it in here. Or if I think of any more that I think might be good questions, I can put them in here. But once again, you are not limited to these questions. These are just to give you an idea of the type of questions you could potentially ask. And that wraps us up for the ethnography preview. And starting in week 5, we will also have these ethnography readings under the reading section that will help you start to focus more on your ethnography and start you on that process of writing it. Do not wait until week 10 to start writing your ethnography. Pretty much all of these assignments that we are doing can be put towards your ethnography. So make sure when you're doing them, you are researching them well, sorry guys, and putting in the effort, because things like, your chapter paper, you can add some different transitions and use it for your ethnography. If you want to talk about the pop culture in your culture, you can use part of this pop culture discussion in it. The language presentation, if you talk about language in your ethnography, you can use some of the stuff you learn from the language presentation. You just have to make sure that it's written out appropriately and cited correctly. Same with like these names and narratives and the mythology story discussion. So just make sure that you are doing your best throughout the semester, because all of these things will help you put together your ethnography. And then, of course, once again, if you go under the announcements, the ethnography outline, you are welcome to copy and paste this, or, file, save a copy, download it, and then fill it in with your own information if that helps you write the paper better. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, as always, please let me know, and I will see you next week for week 5. Thanks.